or tweet on social media because you don't know when it could come back and cancel you. Are we seeking to allow growth through accountability, or are we simply imposing our points of view by public shaming? I'm Nina, and I'm your host of Anti-Cancel Culture.
Good evening. We are back again with Anti-Cancel Culture. I am your host, Nina Bruton. We are having a phenomenal time this season, and tonight will be no different. We are discussing our core values, what they are, what they look like, how we even come to know them for ourselves. And tonight's guest is Toby Gaddison, who's an actor with works on the commercial sector, on stage, and both on the big and small screens. As a creative myself, I understand that sometimes we have to determine exactly what we're willing to do when it comes to securing the bag. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Toby Gaddison. Welcome to Anti-Cancel Culture, brother.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. We're going to hop right into things because, like I mentioned, as a creative, I know I myself have had to take a step back and say, okay, what am I willing to do in order to secure the bag, right? What is my standard? And so with that, I ask you, sir, are we canceling getting the coin for projects that are against our values?
Yeah, a large part of us are. You know what I mean? It's and then that battle is not it's not easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because at the same time you got bills to pay, and the way this world is moving, they're stopping the certain types of ways that people get the bag. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are, losing their jobs, what have you. And then it's like, what do I do? Do I sell my soul for commerce? How much am I willing to sell out to get my bills and sustain a lifestyle? So I think we are.
Yeah, it is. And I know that it's not an easy, an easy thing to deal with, right? Because we do have our own lives that we're living over here, but we represent our families, we represent our communities. And I know we've heard an actor say, well, somebody's got to be the bad guy, right? Somebody's got to play the devil or play the evil one, right? But what do you think about that statement, and where does the limit begin, or how do we even determine where our values lie and what our core values are?
It's just, like the comedian T.K. Kirkland said, yo, who raised you? You know what I'm saying? Like, where are your personal values? Like, I mean, I can't judge anybody. I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in, although I do believe they're both real. So to me, it's like whatever you willing to stand before God, and you got to a man and a woman got to justify their own action. And it just doesn't stop because you got a project. I've turned down many of projects that had a nice little bag on it, flying me out to here, lead roles. But it's like, okay, I mentor little boys, 3 to 13, all the way up to 24. And it's like, okay, how can I think about it all the time. How do I stand in front of my father who respect me? How do I stand in front of the people that love and respect me? And if I'm looking into the eyes of an 8-year-old that's seeing all this foolishness, am I a part of it? You know what I mean? Or a part of it?
Yeah.
Like, where do I stand? Like, at the end of the day, the camera's shut off. You know what I mean? And then the realest of the real, some people may agree, some people may not. But when you stand before God, you're gonna have to be more of a man or woman than you ever been in your life. Yeah. So how you gonna stand? And that's how I judge myself.
Right. Right. And I think, I know with me personally, there have been moments where even in preparation for this show, for this episode tonight, I've had to step back and say, and I've done it over the years, but there are many of us who don't really take the time to determine what our values are, right? We're full steam ahead is in trying to get the work and get the experience, right? Sometimes I know I've heard even some people say, well, if I could just get the experience or build the resume, then I can work on, being more selective as I go. Right. So with that being said, is there ever a time where we can justify letting our guard down just a little bit or lowering our standards just a little bit, is that ever okay?
Well, I mean, all things being real, we've all done it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to can't be more, moral oral. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of projects that I've done. And I was like, oh man, I should.
Yeah.
But it's that feeling, right? Dang, I think I kind of sold out a little bit. Ooh. Like, dang, I don't want nobody to see this. But it was just like, at the time, it was like Slick Rick said, the urge became demanding because I got bills. So what do I do? But it's that after feeling. It's that actor's remorse of, oh man, I hate this feeling. Like I knew when I was on set, I didn't do this, and I just had to be like, all right, if my heart is not going to be in it, then I can't. But sometimes there's a little give and take, a little compromise, kind of, it's all right. But you know what I mean? As long as you don't completely.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I would have done the episode of The Wire because maybe the whole project is speaking to something. I could play an abject evil person, but what is the overall theme? You know what I mean? Yeah. And it depends on my character because there are evil people. There are all bugged out people out there. But how does that evil character, how does that bugged out or that antagonist weigh in on the whole of the story?
That's good. So it needs to be purposeful is what I'm sounding like. So if I'm doing a scene or taking a role that doesn't necessarily align with my core values, right? Or the character doesn't align with my core values, then but I find that the story is telling it is in, how do I want to say this? It's essential to tell the story is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
To really bring a character to life. And I think that there's a way to be able to do that without totally selling ourselves out, like you say.
Right. Now, take for example, Sam Jackson in Django Unchained. That was the most bugged out. But we know people like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, listen, life ain't pretty all the time. Life ain't filled with perfect. We aren't perfect. You know what I mean? We like to present well. Like, I mean, I got on a clean, denim jacket. You know what I mean? But like Redman, there's a dark side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we all have it. You know what I'm saying? There's a Saul and there's a Paul. You dig? So we all have, that side, that there's a Bruce Wayne and a Batman. So we all have these sides. However, it's one of those things. We have to present those characters again to the whole of the story, because sometimes, especially as an actor, our job is to hold up a mirror to the world, and sometimes it's the ugliness that we don't want to see, and sometimes people have to see their ugliness because sometimes they can't see it to see exactly how ugly they are.
That's a really good point. And so for any young actors, and by young I mean someone who might be new to the game, not even just young in age, right?
Good point.
What is it that you would like to tell people who are trying to break into any area of the creative sector, right? Whether they're acting, whether they're in music, because we know the music industry is a whole other situation, especially when it comes to telling the stories of the streets, right? What advice do you have for that someone who is trying to establish their values or even determine what they are?
That's a bloody good question, man. It really is. First of all, what is your values in life? Like that tweet I retweeted you with Omar from The Wire. Every man got to have a code. You know what I mean? What do you stand for? You know what I mean? What do you stand for? Determine that first.
Yeah.
What do you stand for as a man? What do you stand for as a woman? What are your values? What can you rock with and what you can't rock with? And everything else after that, will fall into place. And be patient with yourself, because you're not going to get it right all the time. It's not going to be perfect all the time. And then I want to shout out the Actors District, my people, because I tell them this all the time at my acting class. I say, if you're going to get into this, no matter what you do, acting, plumbing, whatever, Stay committed.
That's good.
Now, there is no, I say this all the time, there is no coincidence why the exact same word that we use for somebody being dedicated is the exact same word that we use to putting somebody in a crazy hospital, and that's committed. Because you have to, because you're going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Following your dreams is crazy.
Ooh.
The only difference between faith and foolishness is the outcome. That's it. It's the only difference between faith and foolishness is the outcome. So you got to believe it. What do we call crazy people? They exist in the world and they in their own mind that only they can see.
Yeah.
They talk about things that ain't even real yet, but it's in their mind, and we call them crazy. Same thing with you. You have a dream that only you can see in your mind. Your parents may not see it. Your friends may not see it. Maybe you're the only one that see it, but you have to be committed to the dream, because following this dream is crazy, because there's sacrifices that you have to make that the next man ain't willing to make. You know what I mean? And that's the only difference between being a fanatic. You're willing to make the sacrifice the next man is not willing to make.
We can rap. That's the show right there. We got all we're not gonna rap yet. We're not, but that was good, is what I'm saying. That was so good, brother. And yo, he said that look, Omar said, preach, brother, it's real. You said there's the same word that we use for crazy people or people who are mentally disabled is committed. And brother, I'm stuck. And I hate that I am. My producers are probably over there like,
think about it.
Yeah.
Someone's looking at you right now saying that you're crazy. You don't get on there with glasses like, what makes you think you're going to be successful? You know how many people that are on YouTube, and they may have empirical evidence, and here's the wild part. They may be right, but you might be right too. So who's going to give? Who's going to give? Right. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's good that you make this determination and that you made this so plain, because, okay, my core values, I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force, and our Air Force core values are integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Now, that's three simple things. It's three simple things, but I have learned that even as a creative, as a wife, there are many areas in my life that I can apply these three core values. And so if I show up to an audition, right, and it makes me question my integrity, right? If it's not serving, like we said, the greater story that is being told, or if it is not, it does not allow me to put my best foot forward and walk in excellence, then it's not for me, right? It's not for me. Just establishing those three core values is a simple way to be able to move forward in making the decisions on what we will commit to and what we walk away from, right?
Right. And here's the thing. I used to sell cars, right? And my manager used to say to us all the time, you can always walk away from the table. You don't have to take the deal.
That's
you can
good.
always walk away from the table. And now we're living in an age where you can make your own table. And that's why they call it the craft, because you're sanding the table. You're crafting your own table. You're crafting your own destiny. And you know what I mean? There is no excuse anymore, because once you find your tribe to help you and support you, it's on and popping. You know what I mean? You only need a handful of people to help change the world. So yeah, it's all good.
That's so good. So it sounds like what we're stating here, and it seems simple. It seems like we wouldn't have even had to have this conversation because it seems simple enough. But again, we are in a world where the table is set, right? We have everything at our fingertips. The opportunities are there. The idea of the struggling artist, is not really even, it doesn't have to be a thing anymore, because the platform is there. But we again have to determine what it is that we are willing to, what are we upholding as we go forward as creatives. Let me see. So can we separate our values and our art? Is there ever a way to separate the two? And in that, not even just our values and our art. At this point, this leads us into now our politics, right? Because we hear a lot of times that creatives or actors, and I think that's what we were talking about on Twitter today, right? do actors stay in your lane? We hear that a lot. Stay in your lane. You don't have a voice to in this conversation. But that's ridiculous, no?
Yeah,
because
100.
Flies off the stage and out of the spotlight.
Yeah, see, it's two things. One is, that's a ridiculous. I mean, you can separate your art and your values. I mean, you can do anything you want to do. We're blessed with the gift of free choice. But the question becomes, does that make you a hypocrite? That's one thing you have to answer for yourself. And then two, actors stay in your lane. I think that's silly. I think that we have the voice because we are put in front of the world. So, we have an opportunity to speak. What would Ozzie Davis say? He was, what would, Ruby D say? What would, what's my man? Not Sidney Poitier would say, but Dale, that guy. I forget his name.
Belafonte. Harry Belafonte.
Harry Belafonte, activist. What would he say?
Yeah.
It's especially specifically in the Black community. Yeah. I think it's our obligation to have some form of activism because we can't separate our skin from the situation that we in. And our artistry, whether we want to be, I think it's a dangerous slope when we want to do that because people are going to follow us, whether we want to be followed or whether we want to be role models or not. People are going to follow us to the left or to the right. We have to make a decision where we're going to lead them because we're going to be accountable for them. You dig? So you can't, if you're responsible. If not, I think you're awful. I mean, what would Nina Simone say? What would Chuck D say? KRS-One say? You know what I mean? We have a responsibility. You know what I mean? Like entertainment just ain't entertainment. Yeah. They've been weaponized entertainment. Entertainment is weaponized. Yeah. You have to figure out whether or not you want to be part of the weapon that destroys your own community and people, or do you just want to be a sucker and irresponsible and just forget about it and say, Black lives don't matter. I don't know what you. But it is what it is.
And I think that brings it to intention. And again, I think once we are able to establish our core values, then at that point we're able to move forward and grow in a way that will allow us to be that voice. Because what we don't want to do is just be out here just saying whatever.
Wow.
Just wilding. Right. That is a whole other conversation. So we are going to take a quick break from a sponsor and come back to some audience questions. Brother, this has been a pleasure. Let's keep the party going. Toby Gaddison,
Ever wish you had a devotional that was written specifically for entrepreneurs and in a voice you can relate to? Well, now you do. Big Idea Food, the best-selling devotional for entrepreneurs and creatives, is exactly what you've been needing to feed your entrepreneurial soul. This devotional will help you push past fears, build more time with God into your daily routine, and gain clarity on your next steps so you can build the business you know you were called to build. Big Idea Food is now on sale at bigideafood.com. Get your copy today, and remember, eat more, fear less.
Eat more, fear less. I like it. Welcome back to Anti-Cancel Culture. We've been having a great conversation with Toby Gaddison. And we're going straight to our first audience question because I know that they have some questions about this. Especially, it's my understanding you brought your whole tribe with you tonight. So,
well, listen, I love them. I love my Actors District family, and I'd be so remiss if I didn't say, "What up, cutie?" That's my wife. What up, Marissa Gaddison? I know
there you go. Please.
Yeah.
We don't want any trouble at all. Please shine the light over there on your other half. Amen.
My better half. You know what I mean?
Your better half. So Omar says a lot of times artists and celebrities have great influence. You're right, Omar. They do. And I think that what happens is a lot of times they don't show up with their values intact, And one thing you mentioned earlier is that we have to be careful of appearing like a hypocrite. Pardon me, appearing as a hypocrite. But we also have to give people space to grow, right, in their understanding and mature in their work as creatives. So I think that sometimes, years ago, I may have taken some work that now, and my husband's been really good while we're talking about spouses. My husband's been really good at saying, even now, babe, are you sure that that's a good idea? I know it's really creative, right? But there are things that you aspire to do in the future that are out of the public eye, or that will thrust you further into the public eye, actually, that you may look back on this and say, right?
Right.
So we need to have those people in our lives that can tell us to back up and take a look at the big picture. Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I feel like, something that you said, I think is very appropriate, and we really need to be really mindful of, especially with this whole cancel culture, anti-cancel culture, is that we do need to give each other the room and the space to grow, right? Because who we were 5 years ago is not who we are right now. You know what I mean? So we do need to give people space and room to grow. I mean, there's a whole list of artists that we can run off that, that we can say that to. Like, Tupac, for good or, for better or worse. Would he have, would he have changed? He started after the whole death row thing. He started to, make his change. You know what I mean? People do change, and you have to. My cousin, Rich Trent, he goes by the name of Siggy. He started out as a music artist one way, and then he went through this experimental phase, which I thought was pretty dope. A lot of people wasn't grooving with it, but you got to give them room to grow, or else what'll happen is we'll trap ourselves, or we'll trap people in their success. Like, we don't let them grow. We want them to keep on doing the same album and the same album. Like, well, no, I don't. Like, somewhere right now, Frankie Beverly probably wanted to blow his brains out, because if he has to sing Joy and Pain one more time, that brother hadn't released new music since '84. You think Frankie Beverly don't want to sing no new songs? But y'all Negroes keep him singing the same playlist in the same order at every Essence Festival in New Orleans. Right. Frankie Beverly better not come in front of black folks trying to sing something new.
Yeah. The Black National Anthem is Before I Let Go. I know it's supposed to be.
Frankie, we don't want to hear none of that new crap. You better sing some of that Before I Let Go.
Right. I want to hear your new stuff. Right. But we have to give people that space to grow and to experiment. Right. And as we evolve as individuals, of course, we will determine our values will change. Again, my values today as a 41-year-old married woman are different than when I was 21 and single. Right? It's a different situation. And so while I was in the Air Force back then, the 3 core values that I mentioned are a little different than they hit different at 41 than they did then.
I had 3 core values at that age: turn up, turn up, turn up,
and turn up some more, and turn up some more. But someone in our comments said, "Yeah, I'm not the same person from an hour ago." You're right. Life happens just that fast, right?
And that's the greater point.
Yeah.
The problem is, and everything that we're talking about in a very real way, all things being real, we have to treat each other with more grace and mercy. You know what I mean? Because we make mistakes. We make awful decisions. That's why I hate that phrase, if you know better, you do better. No, you don't. That's why there's diets. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you don't. Right. We don't, just because you know better doesn't necessarily mean you do better. That's ridiculous to hold us to such a degree. So we have to treat each other with love and compassion and empathy, because that's where because ultimately art is supposed to be healing. And if you're an artist, that's why most artists tend to go through the most mental stuff and the most hardcore stuff in life, because we're called to set the captives free. And how are we going to set the captives free if we've never been where the captives has been? You know what I'm saying? So we feel more because we have to express and say the things that the civilian can't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Imagine going through your toughest time without listening to some Stevie Wonder or some whatever your twist is.
Donny Hathaway.
Some Donny Hathaway. You know what I'm saying? Imagine going through some of your hardest times and not listening to that one song that got you through that breakup, that got you through that heartache, that got you through that loss, that encouraged you when you got up in the morning. You was about to twist somebody's head off until you heard Donnie McClurkin.
Okay, look.
He was about to lose it until that brother started singing "Stand." I Jesus, I'ma stand.
I'm a stand.
You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Morris Davis says, are artists judged by a different set of standards by social media? If so, how should they carry themselves?
Morris, Mr. Damn Good Question Davis. That's a good question.
That is a really good question.
Judged by a different set of standards by social media. Yeah, I think anytime you're in the public eye, you're held to a completely different standard, whether it's social media or you know what I mean, or whatever. And I think it's a really good question. How should they carry themselves? You know what I'm saying? Whatever they don't mind being held accountable to.
That's good. Right. And I think that's the bottom line is what are you willing to speak up for or be called to the carpet for? Again, you know, just yesterday, my husband, well, it happened today. I tweeted yesterday, but today my husband gave a smacking forehead emoji like, ma'am. And it wasn't anything deep that I did, but I have determined how I think I had mentioned like, boy, it's a good thing that, you know, we didn't have Twitter back when I was still cussing folk out, basically, is what I was saying. And so even just in that moment, he had to say, right? Because we are one of those things that I don't ever want, especially if I'm about this anti-cancel culture life, and if I'm about the life of grace, I don't want to constantly have to ask for grace, right? Walking in grace is one thing. Right, but having to constantly ask for grace and apologize and write statements and so on and so forth—that's not the life that any artist wants, because it takes away from from who people see us as the creatives that we are. I think,
and it makes you think: are they just doing that on purpose so you can't shut up? You know what I'm saying? Like that fear. You know what I mean? Because this ain't nothing new. Remember, we all know that ain't nothing new under the sun. It's just that, and everybody has always had these variant of opinions. It's just now that these things make it possible just to air them out. We've always had these thoughts. When we used to read Word Up magazine and Write On magazines, we had those opinions. You know what I'm saying? But we were never. They were called water cooler conversations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now these are the water cooler conversations. And I ain't apologizing for whatever. And here's the thing, because it's a trap, right? No matter, and to all the creatives, no matter what you do, you could be the dopest of the dope at whatever you do. Somebody always gonna say something. So you might as well go ahead and rock out. They talked about Michael Jackson like a dog, and he was the greatest entertainer. He gave us off the wall. How dare you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, bottom line, they talked about Jesus. All he did was give people solid game on how to do this thing the right way and heal people. How you gonna talk bad about him?
I love it.
But they did. This man just made your mama see, and you gonna.
And now y'all got something to say about him.
Right? Y'all got something to say. How ungrateful! But that's the fallen human nature. That's a completely different conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it is.
And that brings us to Amanda's question. Amanda Witcher says, as a Christian creative, because that is a whole other level, right? We have another standard that we have to adhere to, right? How do you protect your gift from media corruption?
Good question.
Stick to your standard. Thank you, Amanda.
Be willing to walk away from the table.
I
mean, don't get it twisted. You're going to be tested in this industry. I've been in this game for 15, 16 years now. I've lived in LA. I've been in all aspects of the industry. You know what I'm saying? I've seen just about everything. You will get tested. You have to be willing to walk away from the table. This can't mean more to you than what you're willing to stand before God for. You know what I'm saying? This can't mean more to you than that. You know what I mean? So how do you protect your gift from media corruption? You protect it. As much as possible. You get that paperwork in hand. You determine your own shots. You create your own situation. And then when corporate media comes running, know that corporate means corruption. There's a reason why they teach business ethics, because every evil thing has been justified by the phrase, it's just business. It's just business. They justified the slavery. If you ever been here in DC, And if you ever get a chance, if they ever lift this COVID crap, and you go to the African American History Museum, they have documented empirical evidence and quotes of them saying, yeah, we know this is bad. I mean, the stench from out of the slave galley, it's making me throw up. However, the money to be made. If you ever read the succession letters of Texas and the southern states that succeeded from the Union, they told Lincoln, yo, these black folk, number one, we believe it's their lot in life that God gave them, and this is a $300 billion industry. You mean to tell us you gonna stop our money? You gonna stop our money flow?
Right.
Come on, man. Chitty bang bang. Let's get at it.
Yep. They weren't having it. You're absolutely right. America established their core values, right? And they ran with it. And so we definitely have to make our determination. I think that is the bottom line, is everyone, and that is my challenge to all of us when we leave here. And even those of us who think we have a good handle on what our values are, I think it's important every once in a while to revisit that, to like literally sit down with a pen and paper and say, this is where I am in life right now. This is what I'm willing to do. And look at whatever area of life you may be in. Well, you know, again, whether it's ministry, whether it's your creative life, be intentional about what your values are, and then you can grow and move and adjust from there. Yeah?
That's real rap.
That's good.
100%. I mean, you know, draw the line in the sand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And you have to, because this industry, particularly for creatives, and I've seen it over and over again, will spit you up. I mean, chew you up and spit you out. And if you don't determine your identity and who you are, they will make it up for you. It's called type casting. It's called, we need to fit you into a type. And if you want to be successful, A, B, C, D. Like, you got to think real quick. What would make a man like Terry Crews, and this is not a knock against him at all, because I mean, the decision is hectic, to say, I got sexually assaulted in front of my wife. I got emasculated by one of the most powerful agents in Hollywood. But he said the only reason why he didn't say anything or do anything or put his hands on him is because he was afraid his career would be affected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What type of fear traps a man like that?
Yeah.
To say, you're going to emasculate me in front of my wife, but I'm scared that I won't be able to secure this bag. So I'm going to just say, hey, man, stop it.
Yeah.
My wife, no, get that bail money. Get that bail money ready.
Hello, somebody.
Get that bail money ready. We can lawyer up. I guarantee if I'm up in that joint, the Lord going to send some angels like Peter and wake me up in the
We're not doing this, sir. We're not doing this, okay?
I'm gonna find somebody's throat. I'm sorry, Jesus.
Toby Gaddison, brother, it's been a pleasure. It's been a true pleasure. I look forward to seeing you more on Twitter and on Instagram. And you all, this is Anti-Cancel Culture. We have a lot of growing to do. Again, we want us to establish our core values so that we can go forward and move in the world in the ways that we were created to do. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 7. Goodness, this season is almost coming to a close, but we have a few more coming for you before the end of the year. But for now, you can catch episodes 1 through 6 and then this on Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Android TV, Google Chromecast, or your Apple TV device on the KL Jones Network. Make sure you download the KP Media TV app. Thank you. This has been Anti-Cancel Culture. Peace. Roku, Android TV, Google Chromecast, or your Apple TV device on the KL Jones Network. Make sure you download the KP Media TV app. Thank you. This has been Anti-Cancel Culture. Peace.